What's up YouTube? Capital G here, taking Yugi's new Gaia cards for a spin on YGO Pro. I decided to just go ahead and test the cards out because I was super interested in them. If you guys saw my review of these cards, I was very excited. I thought that they had potential, and I said that it reminded me very much of Trains, and that's kind of like the play style of this deck. It's a beatdown focused kind of OTK deck. You should always be blinding seconds, and this deck can easily OTK your opponent out of nowhere. In fact, the more monsters your opponent has, generally speaking, the easier it is to actually OTK them. Usually if your opponent has an open field, it's actually more difficult to like OTK them. But anyways, I did hop into a 2 out of 3 duel. I ran into Invoke Shadal, which just won the card market series over in Europe, and the guy who won had to play the European champion in the finals. So I thought that that was a pretty good barometer. Anyways, we'll see what this deck can actually do. By the way, don't take my build as the gospel. This is just something I'm testing out. Yes, I'm running Extravagance over Desire. I just don't like Desires that much as a card. And besides, you can run all the fusions at 3, so it's just a little bit of RNG. Like, hope your fusions don't get banished. Anyways, unfortunately for me, as I said, you should be blinding second with this deck, but we know that Invoke wants to go second as well, so he forced me to go second. The good thing is this deck does actually have a turn 1 play if you're forced to go first, and that is obviously dropping the fusion monster, which is a better version of Zodiac Trident. Essentially, you get a 5200 attack monster that gets a pop during your opponent's turn. It's not the greatest defense in the world, but it's not like a deck similar to like Trains where you just don't really have anything you can do in your first turn. Like, at least you get some inherent disruption and you can get it fairly easily. I also have a Called by the Grave, so basically I have like 2 disruptions, I guess you could say. He's gonna open with Magical Meltdown. I felt like I had to stop that, otherwise he would just get Alistair and he'd get Invocation, and I'm just like, all right, well, screw that. I'm not going to let him get all that advantage. I'm just going to pop it. Unfortunately for me, he already has Alistair, plus he has a ton of juice. He has Instant Fusion. He has the Spell Book of Knowledge lineup, and I was like, oh, Lord, I think I'm just going to die here. So we did get the, what's it called? Luckily, I did have the Called by the Grave for the Alistair. I think if I didn't have that, maybe he could have OTK'd me, but luckily we did have that. He is going to go ahead and have to fusion summon into Construct instead of going for Macabre, which I think he wanted to go for, but whatever. We're able to survive through this turn, and that's like one of the most key things about this deck. As long as you don't get killed by your opponent, just with a couple of cards, you can easily OTK. You look at my hand and you're like, Cap, this hand looks kind of scuffed. Doesn't look like it can do much. Believe me, this hand can easily, it can easily put an OTK on board. You guys will see. We're going to top deck Instant Fusion. Since he thought he was funny and he's going to go Thousand Eyes Restrict into Link Karibo, we're going to do the same thing to him. Luckily, we didn't banish all those from our Extravagance. He's going to activate his copy of Construct. I don't care about that. The only thing I want to do is I want to use my Catapult Turtle and get my Gaia from the deck. Now, the good thing is Catapult Turtle doesn't have to tribute itself, so let's get rid of that Link Karibo. Let's pull out our Gaia Magical Knight. It's going to Monster Reborn our Dragon from the graveyard. Dragon gets the Field Spell. I already had the Fusion Spell in my hand, but what the Field Spell allows us to do is lock out the battle phase. This means that the opponent will not be able to use Link Karibo. They also won't be able to use Trick Clown, and keep in mind, this deck can do piercing damage as well with the other Gaia, the Galloping Gaia, which I think, yeah, I actually had to go into this because I banished all the other guys with Extravagance, so I was forced to go into this, but it's fine. We're going to lock out even more effects, which is redundant, but we're going to play the copy of the Spiral Spear Strike, which it would give other monsters piercing damage, like well, no, this is what gives us piercing damage to make us be able to run over Trick Clown and get full damage. We're also going to drop BLS just for a little bit of flex, but this is already game on board. Keep in mind this card can attack twice, so I think we can almost, well, he ended up scooping, but even if he didn't scoop, this was definitely an OTK. If he was at 8,000, it wouldn't have mattered. We attack into Trick Clown, that's 52. We attack into Link Karibo. It cannot activate its effect, so that is what, 4,900 damage, and then we can still attack with BLS plus this Catapult Turtle thing. So we end up getting a fairly easy OTK in the first duel, but second game, unfortunately, we oh my goodness, this is a little bit of a brick, and yeah, we're forced to go for, if I would have went second, this would have been fine because I would have had 2 hand traps and like I think I would have been okay. But you know, he made us go first for the 2nd time in a row. Now I personally side in things like summon limit and I forget what else I said. Some maybe like Droll and Lock, other hand traps, because sometimes people will force you to go first because, you know, this is obviously a strong go second deck. Anyways, we did use Impermanence on Construct. Maybe I should have held the Impermanence, but I also used Ash Blossom on Alistair. Maybe if I would have drew the one of my level 5 dragon monsters, I think I could have been okay. But even then, like, I didn't know he had a Fat Veiler. I feel like he would probably just win anyways, because if I normal summon my magical Gaia here, he could just affect Veiler. I can't summon my dragon from my hand, and then he just kills me during the next turn. So this was just a situation where we bricked. If I would have been able to, I don't know, maybe open with the fusion plus summon limit, then we probably would win the game, but it is what it is. Anyways, finally we get to go second because, you know, I hadn't been able to go second in any duel. We do open up with double Impermanence, and this duel is going to be kind of grindy. We're going to hit that Alistair with Impermanence just to make sure that he cannot go into those pesky invoked monsters. I don't really fear the shadow monsters. I fear the invoked monsters. We're going to go with Catapult Turtle. He does not use his Ash Blossom, but we do have Called by the Grave anyways. This hand is a little, it's a little bizarre. It's a little clunky. I've got 2 Catapult Turtles. I didn't open with Gaia or a level 5 dragon monster, which kind of sucks, but it's fine. I can pull my big Gaia out of my deck. I can run over Shadow Beast, and then we're just going to tribute it for its effect to get that Gaia. Now in main phase 2, since I had the field spell, I'm trying to activate it with Gaia to get my dragon. He is going to Ash that. I really didn't care about getting Ashed here because I can just do the same thing in the next turn when I have a battle phase anyways. The reason that I didn't go after Winda is because I was like, well, if you have Winda on the field, which obviously I can out with Impermanence, then you're locked under Winda too. And, you know, as we saw in the first duel, as long as you don't get OTK'd with this deck, you should be able to OTK your opponent. So I didn't really care much about the Winda being on the field. I was like, I don't really care about that. We'll leave Winda on the field because she can just, you know, not do much. Anyways, he does use El Shaddai Fusion. That was pretty smart to get his Alistair effect off. And then he's going to recover some of his cards. He is going to go with that Spellbook Engine again, which actually nets him Droll and Lockbird, which is really good against this deck. He goes for Purgatrio. I think he actually should have went with Merkaba, but that's just my opinion. And we're going to end up top decking our Curse of Dragon, or the Curse Dragon, Curse of Dragon. I would have liked to have something better. Again, like Summon Limit would have been super good because you get to add your like Curse from the field spell for free anyway, so you don't really want to draw it if you already have the other piece. It's fine. We're going to get a different Gaia. Now at this point I have to use Called by the Grave after adding a card to my hand, because if I don't, then I won't be able to search the fusion spell, and if I can't search the fusion spell and fusion summon, this deck isn't doing anything. Like, you have to be able to fusion summon to win in this deck. We're gonna summon Gaia. Then we're going to summon our Cursed Dragon from our hand. We are going to get the fusion spell. I was thinking about this long and hard, and I was like, I don't think I can't really OTK this guy. I don't have the damage to OTK. This is why I said if your opponent has multiple monsters, it's easier to OTK through multiple monsters than just one. So instead of going for the Trident-like one, I decided to go for the Galloping one. And you can chain block with this card. You use the Cursed Dragon from the graveyard as chain link 2, make your Gaia chain link 1, and I'm going to get my my Spiral Spear. And what this allows me to do is once I run this guy over, I can actually just draw some cards. I was hoping to draw hand traps or floodgates, but you know, that didn't happen, unfortunately. I thought it was worth a try. And I still think that it was the right decision, because having a pop at that point, like, he has so many cards in his hand, one pop was not going to stop him. I thought it was just better. Now, he did try to use the Shadow Fusion. Into that, we're going to tribute our fusion and get our Gaia on field. This at least makes it so that he can't use monsters from his deck, which was really, really important. It basically makes the card fizzle, which was nice for us, but he still has a bunch of plays. He's going to go for Merkaba, and I think he got a little greedy here. His Merkaba is not big enough to attack over this guy, so he has to use Alistair. I think he got greedy because he goes for El Shaddai Fusion, which I didn't expect this. I really thought he would just sit on Merkaba and, you know, just, I don't know, kind of use that for negation. I think that would have been a better play. He leaves me with 1,600 life points. I'm able to easily kill him. We top deck the Fusion. Now, since he doesn't have any disruption, we just pull back the Cursed Dragon from our graveyard. And this is, again, as you guys saw in the first duel, this is why the field spell is so important. It allows us to, be able to turn our fusion monsters into armades. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go for, once again, or in this time, we're going to go for the new fusion monster, which is like the Trident. We're able to just punch straight through his Falco, like, basically paper. We're going to draw 2 cards, which is irrelevant. And then we're able to OTK him through the construct. So even if he was at 8,000 life points, that just would have been an OTK right there. It kind of shows you like this deck has huge big damage plays and you can chain block. The only thing about it is sometimes this deck does have a tendency to kind of brick. So I think if you're not running Extravagance, I kind of feel like you should be running Desires. Anyways, we'll just look at my deck and I guess I could talk about it a little more as we talk. Yeah, some of the things about this deck that can make it a little clunky is like when you open up with Gaia plus you have Catapult Turtle. Sometimes that can be a little clunky. You can kind of unbrick it if sometimes if you have like the field spell, but it's definitely a deck that can do a lot of damage. I personally think Kaijus are a good idea because even though we didn't see any break my board fields in that first duel, that's still kind of the times that we live in Yu-Gi-Oh, where people can make these big negation boards. I feel like if I'm going second even against like Spiral, as long as I can get the sleeper off the field, there's a good chance that I can get like, I don't know, an impermanence for the Appaloosa and then just easily OTK you or something like that. Or maybe I can use something like mind control the Appaloosa, then just probably easily OTK. So I do think Kaijus are pretty good. Also, the fusion monsters can attack over the Kaijus fairly easily, and this fusion monster specifically, you can run over like a Gamma Seal that you give to your opponent, and then you can gain the extra 2600 attack. One thing that I didn't know, a lot of people were talking about instant fusion and alligator sword, right? And I was like, okay, that's fine. It does allow you to summon this guy right here that I run 2 of. The thing that I didn't realize is not only does it allow you to summon this Gaia, you can actually bring the alligator sword back from the graveyard with the magical Gaia. That's something that I did not know. Someone actually did that against me and I was like, whoa, that's legitimate. So even if you don't happen to hit the Cursed Dragon, that is something of a play that you can do. Now my extra deck probably needs a little bit of work. Again, this is just based on Extravagance. I would probably say that you should run some Link 2s, maybe Nightmare Phoenix and Cerberus, but anything higher than that, like I don't even really think you need, maybe the BLS Link against certain matchups like Ultrageist that can't out it. But yeah, this is just a tentative build. Again, we're going second, so that's why you see the Lightning Storms and the Kaijus in the main deck. Didn't want to run too many hand traps, so we're just sitting on Ash and Impermanence, and anything after that, we're just looking to break our opponent's board with the board wipes essentially. And just try to kill our opponent ASAP. If you're forced to go first, you can side in floodgates like summon limits or other ones. I guess maybe there can only be, that might be kind of risky. Well, it depends. If you go first and you really feel like you can open up with that fusion plus there can only be one could be very strong against a lot of decks, but that would be up to you. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed the duels. If you guys want the deck list, it'll be in the description below. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already and turn on that notification bell for daily videos.